as China conducted a third day of continuous military drills to the south of the island that began earlier this week. Chinese fighter planes watched the U.S. Navy patrol plane fly across the contested Taiwan Strait, which China continues to claim as its sovereign territory. Asserting that it has sovereignty, sovereign rights, and jurisdiction over the Taiwan Strait, China regularly expresses outrage over U.S. military activities across the narrow strait, often conducted by warships, but also occasionally involving surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft. The U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet stated that the P-8A Poseidon maritime patrol and reconnaissance plane, also employed for anti-submarine missions, was reportedly in international airspace as it passed across the strait. The U.S., Taiwan, or its regional allies refused Chinese claims of sovereignty over the strait. The fleet said, by operating within the Taiwan Strait by international law, the United States upholds the navigational rights and freedoms of all nations. On a more regular basis, the U.S. Navy undertakes freedom of navigation operations, FONOPs, in the waterway to Chinese disenchantment. The Chinese military called the flight public hype and said it sent fighters to watch and warn the American aircraft, a typical Chinese response to U.S. military activities in the Strait and the South China Sea. However, the timing of the U.S. aircraft's flight over the strait is significant given that the Chinese launched unexpected drills near the island on July 11th when 32 Chinese Air Force planes had crossed the median line. Moreover, four nuclear-capable H-6 bombers flew to Taiwan south to participate in the drills. The second day of the drills saw several Navy ships and a large group of warplanes, including fighter jets and bombers, flying toward Taiwan. In fact, on the second day, Taiwan detected 30 Chinese aircraft over the sea, including J-10 and J-16 fighters. Out of these, at least 23 reportedly crossed the median line that previously acted as a security buffer. In response to the flight undertaken by the U.S. P-8A aircraft, the People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command said in a statement on its WeChat account, "Troops in the theater are always on high alert and will resolutely defend national sovereignty and security as well as regional peace and stability." Chinese warplanes and warships conducted a third day of exercises to the island's south, and those 26 aircraft, including sophisticated J-16 and Su-30 fighters, were seen flying out to sea and responding to the American Poseidon. According to the ministry, Taiwan's military kept watch while the U.S. aircraft flew southward while staying within the strait's median line. However, while there was no engagement, there is a slight possibility that Chinese fighter jets could have had an encounter with the U.S. recon plane. In the past year, with China's growing military activity near Taiwan and the contested South China Sea and an intensified U.S. bid to counter that aggression with its freedom operations, the military encounters between the two sides have intensified. The P-8 Poseidon definitely has more experience engaging with Chinese warplanes than any other in the U.S. inventory. The Australian defense lodged a formal complaint with China over a Chinese warplane engaging in a dangerous interception of the P-8A maritime reconnaissance aircraft over the South China Sea, as previously reported by Eurasian Times. At the time, the Australian Defense Department said that a RAF P-8 maritime surveillance aircraft was intercepted by a Chinese J-16 fighter aircraft during a routine maritime surveillance activity in international airspace in the South China Sea region. Australian Defence Minister Richard Marles said that the Chinese aircraft flew very close to the side of the Australian P-8 maritime surveillance aircraft and then released flares. Military aircraft typically discharge flares or chaff as a deliberate countermeasure to deceive missiles, but sabotaging an aircraft while in flight is also possible. Marles told the media the J-16 accelerated and cut across the nose of the P-8, settling in front of the P-8 at a very close distance. At that moment, it released a bundle of chaff, which contained small pieces of aluminum, some of which were ingested into the engine of the P-8 aircraft. Quite obviously, this is very dangerous. Chinese analysts, on their part, defended the Chinese J-16's interception and accused the RAAF of close-in reconnaissance and provocative activities. Media reports indicated that a Chinese J-11 fighter jet with 4 air-to-air missiles intercepted an American P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft over the South China Sea. Incidentally, the event occurred while the U.S. media journalists were aboard an American aircraft on a surveillance mission in the South China Sea.